I guess what I should say is one of these is going to be maybe. Show you, but actually what we can probably do here is
Right, that's David.
Yep.
That's
yep.
we want ours to have sound. What are you doing? Oh,
Making him a co-host so that hopefully
do we want to be muted right now?
hey David. Probably you and Dell helping get people to check in at the desk because they have the list of who's there. And Jan, sorry, I know the your shirt.
Yeah. Sweetie. Sweetie.
Hmm.
That's me. It is. Champagne for me is
No,
I do not want this.
if I'm trying here.
What was that?
Okay. Trying to figure out how to be able to basically to hijack your feed to be what's there.
Yeah, so on Zoom, I think you need to right click on live. Yeah, or that.
You were already made a co-host.
Okay. In the video, which might do it, but you're gonna want to turn off your video and
Turn off the video.
and your audio too to keep the
Yeah.
Fixing up a car, driving it again, searching for the water, hoping for the rain up enough. Manaya, 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 Naya. We're gonna get together. No, we're gonna get together somehow. We're gonna get together and fly. Oh, we're gonna get together. No, we're gonna get together and flow. We're gonna get together and go. Fixing up a car, driving it again. When you're in pain, when you think you've had enough, don't ever give up.
Are you drunk enough now to judge what I'm doing? Are you high enough to excuse that I'm ruined? 'Cause I'm ruined. Is it late enough for you to come and stay over? 'Cause we're free to love, so tease me. I made no promises, I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything.
Tonight,
Magic is in the air, there ain't no science here, so come get your everything.
tonight,
I made no promises, I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything.
tonight,
Magic is in the air, there ain't no science here, so come get your everything.
tonight.
Tonight,
You acting tonight.
is it loud enough? 'Cause my body is calling for you, calling for you. I need promises. I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything.
Tonight,
Magic is in the air. There ain't no science here, so come get your everything.
tonight,
I made no promises. I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything.
tonight,
Magic is in the air. There ain't no science here, so come get your everything.
tonight.
Tonight,
You everything tonight.
'cause I need a green light, day and night. Say that you're mine, 'cause I need your green light, day and night. Say that you're mine. Say that you're mine. Say that you're mine. I made no promises. I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything.
Tonight,
Magic is in the air. There ain't no science here, so come get your everything.
tonight,
I made no promises. I can't do golden rings, but I'll give you everything.
tonight,
Magic is in the air. There ain't no science here, so come get your everything.
tonight.
Tonight. I'm sorry I'm here for someone else, but it's good to see your face. And I really hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. She was running late for dinner outside of town. Left the phone a little bitter, but it's cool for now. Far from perfect for each other, but we're working it out, I suppose. Now I'm waiting at the diner looking traumatized, 'cause you walk up to the table with an order of fries. And I know you, yes I know you, used to love you. And I said, I'm sorry I'm here for someone else. It's good to see your face, and I really hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I'm here for someone else. I wish that I could stay and talk at the bar all by ourselves, but I'm here for someone else. When she finally walks into the restaurant, hate to say it, but I knew it, I was already gone. Oh, Benny, don't do it, you're breaking her heart. Benny, don't do it, Benny, don't do it. But I need to go. It's not personal. When I say I'm sorry I'm here for someone else, it's good to see your face, and I really hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I'm here for someone else. I know you wish that I could stay and talk at the bar all by ourselves, but I'm here for someone else. I'm still in love with you. I'm going out of my mind. I couldn't take it anymore. I was already running for the kitchen doors. You were always the one I should have waited for. I can't lose you again, not again, not again, not again.
just trying to tell you how I feel.
If my body was a boat, could you steer that sailor? Make it feel like it's a 1960s Hollywood trailer. Classic like cars, classic like Elizabeth Taylor. Need you to romance me, I need a give and not a take. What I need is 'cause I could love you if I really wanted to. You could be my glass of wine. Sunset, I mean exhale, not exes. Baby, 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 would you make it alright? Or maybe that much better. If you wanted, you could make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, when I see the sunrise and you make it that much better. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, worth all of the time I'm about to give you, baby. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, give all of the time I should be working on it. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it. This is the night. Something about it's making me cry. My soul it did decide. Feel my body shiver in your moon. I need you to let me have the time of my life. Check your credentials, self-residentials. Ooh, baby boy, you got so much potential. I could love you if I really wanted to. You could be my glass of wine. Sunset, I mean exhale, not exes. Baby, 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 would you? Baby, would you make it alright? Would you make it alright? Make it that much better. Make it that much. You wanted, you could make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, when I see the sunrise, you make it that much better. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, worth all of the time I'm about to give you, baby. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, give all of the time I should be working on it. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it. Give me out of 6-carat Cartier rings, baby. Top floor in the penthouse, sipping on Chardonnay 2016, baby. Someone like a dream, baby. Somehow I'm so captured by you. I'm rearranging all of my plans and I'm holding my breath as I hope you make it worth it. Would you make it alright? Or maybe that much better. If you wanted, you could make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, when I see the sunrise and you make it that much better. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, worth all of the time I'm about to give you, baby. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, give all of the time I should be working on it. So I hope you're gonna make it all. This is the night. This is the night. My soul it did decide, and I need you to. I need you to. I'm all in, I can't reverse it, so I hope and pray you make it.
I won't cry.
watching me. She said I'd never seen a man who looked so all alone, or you could use a little company. And if you pay the right price, your evening will be nice. You can go and send me on my way. You're such a sweet young thing, why did you do this to yourself? She looked at me and she said, no, no, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. Ain't nothing in this world for free. And no, I can't slow down, I can't hold back though. You know, I wish I could. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. Not even 15 minutes later, I'm still walking down the street. I saw a shadow of a man creep out of sight, and he swept up from behind. He put a gun up to my head. He made it clear he wasn't looking for a fight. He said, give me all you got, I want your money, know your life, but if you try to make a move, I won't think twice. I said, take my cash, but first I gotta ask what made you live this kind of life. And he said, no, no, there ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. Ain't nothing in this world for free. No, I can't slow down, I can't hold back though. You know, I wish I could. No, there ain't no rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. A couple hours passing, I was sitting in my house. The day was winding down and coming to an end. So I turned to the TV and flipped it over to the news, and what I saw I almost couldn't comprehend. Saw a preacher man gloves taking money from the church, of his bank account with precious dollar bills. But I can't say much, cause I know we're on the same. We all need to satisfy those bills. No, no, there ain't no rest for the wicked. I know one trees. I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed. Ain't nothing in this world for free. No, I can't slow down, I can't hold back though. You know, I wish I could. No rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good.
Call me up to meet you. Static on the phone. Normally I need you. This time I don't wanna go. Lately I've been growing into someone you don't know. You had the chance to love her, but apparently you don't. No, you don't. So even if I could, wouldn't go back where we started. I know you're still waiting, wondering where my heart is. Praying things won't change, but the hardest part is you're realizing maybe I ain't the same. And what you're waiting for ain't there no more anyway. Held you up so highly, deep under your spell. You're hidden underneath the floor. In the attic of my dreams, there's somebody I adore. I could smile, I could lie, say I never think about you at all, most of the time. Maybe it's the way the clouds are painted a perfect shade of yellow all across the sky. Or maybe it's the way the times are changing and I'm stuck in the middle, frozen in a fire. But baby, you're on my mind.
Doors will open, doors will close. In the basement of my dreams, there's somebody I know.
If you have a question that you would like to submit, Jeff over here in the yellow shirt will take your question cards. And Diana in the back. Well, with that, good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to see so many people here tonight. Thank you for coming out. My name is Maggie Kinneman, and I'm one of the leaders of the Mahomet Persisterhood. Thank you. We are live streaming, so folks who couldn't make it here tonight can watch as well. The Mahomet Persisterhood is a group of progressive women who engage in our local community through educational events like this one. You can find us on Facebook at Mahomet Persisterhood. Check out our link tree to follow us on social media and or sign up for our email lists. We're co-sponsoring this event as part of the August Accountability Coalition, led by Champaign County Indivisible. Indivisible is a movement of thousands of group leaders and more than 1 million members taking regular, iterative, and increasingly complex actions to resist the GOP's agenda. And elect local champions and fight for progressive policies. The full list of co-sponsoring organizations includes Champaign County Indivisible, Capital City Indivisible, Charleston Indivisible, Illinois, Eastern Illinois Indivisible, Indivisible Adams County, Indivisible Illinois, Indivisible Jacksonville, Indivisible Vermilion County, Indivisible West Central Illinois, March for Democracy, the Mahomet Persisterhood, and 5051 Quincy, Illinois. Champaign County Indivisible has QR codes for their link tree up throughout the room. Please check them out and connect to them through the method of your choice. If they're not the closest group to you, they'll help you get connected to the right organization. Before I introduce our panel this evening, I want to give a special shout out to Yellow & Co. This boutique and event space is a gem in our community. Yellow & Co. event space brings top-tier talent to our community, including musicians, magicians, and comedians. They also have lots of fun events like trivia nights, bingo, and more. Please check them out on their calendar events at Yellow & Co. events, and be sure to check out the items in their boutique on the way out. You'll be glad you did. We invited Congresswoman Mary Miller to this town hall tonight to face her constituents, but she declined to join us. Big surprise. Instead, it seems she decided that giving a flag to our town was sufficient engagement enough for her constituents. Since Mary Miller was first elected, she's done exactly 0 in-person town hall events and only 1 tele-town hall back in September of 2021. But just because she's not here doesn't mean we can't learn more about problematic bills she's voted for and learn how we can hold her accountable for her actions. So tonight, I am pleased to introduce Crystal Abel of the Illinois Alliance for Retired Americans. Crystal lives in Normal, Illinois, where she is the executive director of the Illinois Alliance for Retired Americans, Normal Township Supervisor, and McLean County Board member. She also serves on the Central Illinois ACU Steering Committee and is a member of several other civic and community organizations. Let's give her a hand. Next, we have Jane McClintock, Secretary of the ACLU of Champaign County. Jane is an engineering technician from Urbana and is currently serving as the Secretary of Champaign County ACLU, where she has been a member of the steering committee for 3 years. She particularly enjoys the opportunities the ACLU provides to educate and support local organizations and individuals on the foundational principles of our democracy, from freedom of expression to freedom from cruel and unusual punishment. Also joining us is Ed Yonka. He's the Director of the Communications and Public Policy for the American Civil Liberties Union of Illinois, a position that he has held for more than a quarter century. He is the primary spokesperson for the most prominent civil rights and civil liberties advocacy organization in our state. Yonka appears regularly in print, as well as on television and radio programs in Illinois and throughout the nation to speak out on a myriad of civil rights and civil liberties issues. Let's give him a hand. We're so appreciative that you have all joined us tonight. We solicited some questions in advance of the event, and we also have people walking around with note cards if you'd like to submit a question during the event. We will get through as many as we can. We want to prioritize questions from the 15th Congressional District, so please indicate whether or not you are a constituent on your note card. All right, let's get started. We'll begin with a question that we received in advance of the event. Meg Miner of Mansfield asks, "It has become obvious that our democracy is more fragile than I thought. What are your perspectives on how so many of our checks and balances have turned out to be norms and not codified in law or enforceable?"
Yeah, okay. I guess I'm going to begin. First of all, thank you. It is really lovely to be here tonight, and what a lovely space. This is really fantastic. I think we have to sort of speak and think in some hard truths with one another, which is we are living in an authoritarian nation today. And the reason that we are, as the questioner indicates, is because we have a president who does not acknowledge nor adhere to any of the norms that we thought were in place to balance, to create the checks and balances that kept us from slipping over into authoritarianism. And unfortunately, the other branches of government, the Congress and the majority in Congress and the Supreme Court are not engaging in the kind of rigorous and vigorous checks on that executive authority that we would normally expect to see. There are tonight, as we speak, federal troops marching armed through the streets of our nation's capital, and Congress remains on recess with no sense of oversight, with no sense of responsibility for it. The president is literally asking states to rig the next election in his favor so that there can be no oversight of his mass immigration policy, of his tariff policies, and other policies. And Congress is performing no oversight of that. And the courts have literally said that redistricting is a question in which they will play no role. Even when that role is to rig an election, they will not play a part in it. And, I think when you take those things together, there are two lessons that we draw. The first is somebody has to be the check. And I think one of the biggest checks is all of us. What do we do, right? The ACLU is working in the courts every day and working to check and has had success in a number of different cases. But I think one of the checks is what we all do. whether or not we comply, whether or not we, sit idly by and expect our local and county and state governments to simply comply with the president's orders, no matter how weird they are from day to day. But the other thing I think is that we have to make sure that, we are then electing and putting people in place who will be that check and who will do that oversight, and then demand that they do it. And that is the way that we're going to get ourselves out of this. Although I'm going to add one last thing. I always thought, and I use this one example quite often, that there were things that were just norms. For example, I'm old enough to remember when you couldn't imagine running for president of the United States without releasing your tax returns. It appears now we're going to have a law to make that happen. And one of the things is we need to start stockpiling those things that when we get a Congress that will do the oversight and do the work, and we have presidents that will actually sign bills and not just executive orders like their kindergarten art projects, that we need to have a list of things like reversing the immunity decision, like putting in place norms about releasing tax returns, adhering to financial disclosure requirements, and not being above ethics requirements if you're serving as president of the United States. This president has proved that the system isn't in place to protect us or create the guardrails around that. We need to put that in place for ourselves.
Thank you so much, Ed. Would either of you two like to speak to that? Or
Sure, I'll just follow up really quickly. It's hard to follow up, Ed. That was really powerful, thank you. But I just want to go back to the power of elections. Right now we are seeing our 2026 elections being rigged on the federal level, but we still have state board of elections and local election authorities, and our local elections are very, very important. I know everyone's really focused on 2026 right now, but our local elections is generally where we start building the bench for our state representatives, our governors, our congressional representatives. And where I live in Normal, our municipal voter turnout is usually like less than 25% of the eligible voters. And you don't have a very large percentage of the population deciding who your elected officials are. And those elected officials in a lot of cases are going to be your next congressional representatives, are going to be your next senators, your next judges, people that are going through law school and things like that. So it's really important, as we're thinking about the future and how we are building that bench and fighting back, that we make sure that we're fighting at the local level as well, and making sure that we are engaging multiple constituency groups on the issues that matter locally, and asking them, what they do think about the federal issues. You'll find a lot of times local elected officials or nonpartisan elected officials will tell you like, oh, I don't want to talk about federal issues. I don't want to talk about state issues. I'm just a city council person. You have every right to, ask them point blank if they agree with, the Department of Education being cut, or our National Guard being sent to Washington, D.C., or everything that's happening with immigration. And you have a right to demand answers from them, and for them to be truthful and transparent with you on those things and hold them accountable. So that's really all I would have to add.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, it's really gloomy if we just look at the top of our democracy right now. It's in tatters. But the foundation is all of us. It's the person-to-person level. So, I'd really encourage everyone to find their niche. If you can write letters, if you are up for going to your city council meeting, having your local representatives make a statement, maybe to your congressional representative, will amplify your voice. If your community can tell your congressperson the impact that it has on the local group, the local community, what they're voting on, saying, here in Champaign County, there's, more than 20,000 kids who are relying on Medicare, for their health insurance. And, I don't know that we're going to be able to, if one person says that, but if we all kind of make those voices heard and make those folks visible, and even just getting to your library board, getting to your school board, talking to your neighbors. That's what we need now.
Thank you so much. We have a question from our audience. Given the current political climate and recent developments across the country, how do you assess the current state of transgender rights in Illinois? And what legal and policy challenges do you foresee in the near future that could impact trans communities here?
I'm going to jump in. Let me be abundantly clear. It is still against Illinois law to discriminate against a person based on their gender identity in any way. Full stop. You know, I don't care how many pieces of paper Donald Trump signs. I don't care how many events they have at the White House where he talks about the danger of transgenderism. You know, first of all, this is a person who knows nothing about gender-affirming healthcare. I want to just stop for y'all for just a second. Boy, I tell you, when I get south for 2 days, I start saying y'all. But I just want you to remember, the president on the stump last year would talk about transgender kids in schools in a way that he really believes that kids go to school in the morning, one gender, they get surgery during the course of the day, and they come home as a different gender without their parents knowing. There's a word for that. It's bullshit. And he has extended this madness by trying and attempting to limit access to gender-affirming health care to people 19 years of age or under. The last time I checked, someone 19 is an adult and not a minor. But he's done this, and the truth is, again, in Illinois, gender-affirming care is lawful health care, full stop. So one of the things we have to do is, you know, I think, and we've done, you know, multiple, you know, mass calls and mass meetings with parents of transgender kids. They are scared to death. And the reason that they are, in large measure, is because the way the administration talks about this, they have done something already and denied care to people by bullying healthcare outlets and healthcare providers into not providing that care. And we have to make abundantly clear that that care is still lawful in Illinois. Discrimination is still not the law of the land here. And, you know, by the way, no matter how many times you hear this at a local school board, kids can still use the restrooms in changing areas that are consistent with their gender identity, and they can still participate in sports. Here's where I want to say something about our honored guest who isn't here. It is my understanding that the Congresswoman has sent not one but 2 letters to the Department of Justice asking them to launch a criminal investigation into the Illinois High School Association because they have the audacity to allow transgender kids through waivers to participate in sports when Donald Trump said they couldn't on a piece of paper. We, of course, have adopted that through a democratic process. Donald Trump signed a piece of paper. That's his law. Anybody want to care to guess how many transgender kids participated in IHSA activities last year using a waiver? 2, 5, it's 3. Mary Miller wrote a letter demanding a federal criminal investigation to account for 0.0009% of all students who participate in events in the state of Illinois. I don't think that's a very serious person. And I think it's just picking on somebody that you think is small and won't defend themselves. But we all need to be defending those people, because once they get done with transgender folks, they're going to come for us next.
Would either of you two care to speak on that?
Well, one thing that comes to mind for me when, you know, our transgender folks still have the right to seek health care here in our state, and thank goodness for that. But one thing that we've been working on in Champaign County as the ACLU supporting some common sense oversight of surveillance technology in this time of, frankly, widespread discrimination and, dangerous time. People are fearful. License plate readers in communities have been accessed by ICE. They've been accessed by other states, looking at whether women from those states are coming here for health care. And, I think it puts our transgender neighbors at risk. And I think it's something that our communities should have input in. So it's something that we've supported as well with state support, as Champaign County ACLU supported some of the initiatives to have some democratic oversight of what police departments are using to track folks.
Great, thank you. Crystal, would you like to speak?
I would really just add that, we feel really safe in Illinois, but just like we've seen with some of the, interstate laws that other states have tried to pass with women accessing health care and abortion care in other states and trying to criminally prosecute them, I'm sure we will see, some of that happening as well. And so it's, even though we are pretty protected, if you live in Illinois, I think it's really important for our local communities to make sure that we are very vocal in reaffirming our support through our local health departments and our community free clinics, and any place that we can get healthcare access in our local communities needs to be very vocal and upfront about reaffirming that they are supportive of gender affirming care, and that that's something that people can access through their facilities, and that those are safe places for people to go, whether they are from our community or not, to access the care and resources that they need.
Thank you all so much. All right, changing subjects here. What can we do as everyday citizens if martial law is enacted? Are we safe to continue to speak out against it?
I love the way every time the question is asked, they all just keep looking down. I knew the fix was in on the seating chart tonight, and I should have figured that part out up front. So let me start, I think, with a little bit of level setting here in terms of, I think one of the things is we're not likely to see some kind of martial law in and of itself declared. I think what we're more likely to see is a continuation of these made-up emergencies that are then used in order to send either National Guard or troops of some sort into a city. As you know, the city that I live in is allegedly next on the list. And I think that what will likely then occur from there is, as they are patrolling and engaging in ICE activities, as they're trying to limit, or scare communities into not coming out and not turning out, that there will be an effort to have a very heavy hand with protesters in hope of creating a kind of event, for lack of a better word, or confrontation that can then be used for further activity down the road. And so, if you look in DC, the major groups in DC have not done a major march since they sent the troops into DC. There was one in LA, but they purposefully held it very far away from where most of the National Guard were. And I think that is the kind of thing that you'll see in a lot of instances as this happens in other places around the country. I can't ever help but say this. There are times, listen, I woke up, well, I didn't go to sleep, but the morning after the election, I think like many of you, I woke up despondent. I could not understand what had happened, and I knew what the road ahead would be like. And, I picked myself up and I went to work and I got started on this. But one of the things that has really troubled me is that this administration has tried to use this language of landslide and mandate. He won the smallest election in the 21st century. He won, I'm not a denier, he won. But he won the smallest election in the 21st century. And that gives him an enormous amount of power. But it doesn't give him the opportunity to rewrite the Constitution. And so the First Amendment still exists. It is still there for all of us. We should be utilizing it, sometimes strategically in smaller ways rather than in larger ways, in order not to engage in the kind of confrontation that I think that the administration sometimes want. But I don't think we should ever back off of engaging in speech and engaging in protest and speaking truth to power to this administration.
I think absolutely, and even if there's soldiers that are sent here, it doesn't mean that we don't have the laws of our land. So there's still the same laws that we've worked for, use of force. The requirements for probable cause to search, and the right to assembly. And so the more that we educate ourselves about where those lines are, and we educate our neighbors, we need to know where we're on the right side of things, and we need to know when they're on the wrong side and hold them accountable. Because we still have laws that, hold these folks accountable. Even if they have no reason to be here and they end up here, they're still bound by the same principles that, we've been working on, with our police departments. And also, I will say, as we are all collaborating with our police departments, I think, to make them better, to, work on these issues. And I think that hopefully, we are always having a long way to go. I think in Champaign County ACLU, though, we've certainly worked with our local police departments to help them understand and improve their use of force policies, so that, I think that they will be, they will understand the importance of free speech demonstrations and of respecting people's rights, and will be hopefully there for us if there is some kind of confrontation. And so making sure that we are aware of our rights, and that our leaders are as well.
Yeah. And I'll just add, continuing to take it back to the local level, I'm from Normal, Illinois, and last fall, our Normal Town Council attempted to pass a noise ordinance that was an effort to reduce the amount of pop-up parties that were happening around Illinois State University campus. There was some violence and gun violence that was happening around those, and the town wanted to be proactive and create an ordinance that would limit public gatherings and noise ordinance and things like that. And the ACLU in Central Illinois found out that that was happening, and we read it, and we took some major issues with a lot of parts of it. And if it wasn't for the Central Illinois ACLU and a group of musicians who like to perform music publicly coming out to speak publicly at that meeting about why we were opposed to it, that would have passed unchallenged. So, tonight in Bloomington, Mayor Dan Brady is actually coming under fire for the fact that he's not allowing our community engagement unit through our Bloomington Police Department to do community meetings about the Trust Act anymore. So, these are things that are happening in our communities locally that we need to keep an eye on and make sure that our local elected officials are willing to uphold our rights, and when they're not, that we are getting to the table and that we're engaging with them and making sure that they understand what our stances are and how they need to change things. Luckily with that noise ordinance in Normal, the town did table that, went back, revised, met with a bunch of different groups, and kind of got it together in a way that we didn't feel violated our First Amendment rights anymore. But if we hadn't done that, it would have passed, and it would have been a really big issue for people in the community who are trying to exercise their right to free speech and public assembly. So, if we want these things protected for us at the federal level, we have to make sure we're protecting them first at the local level.
Thank you. Next question. What opportunities exist to deliver factual information into rural areas in this district about loss of Medicaid, SNAP, and where to get resources?
Sure, I can talk about that a little bit. I'm the executive director of the Illinois Alliance for Retired Americans, and one of the things that we do is create fact sheets and put out a lot of political education materials for people. I brought a couple copies of some with me today, but we're also part of a coalition called Protect Our Care Coalition that does a lot of research and white papers and polling and things like that on healthcare issues in our state. And one of the things that we have put out recently is specifically a fact sheet on Mary Miller's district, the 15th congressional district, that shows that 180,916 people here are enrolled in Medicaid, that 2 in 3 adults in nursing homes are protected by Medicaid. Here specifically in the 15th congressional district, the ACA, one thing that people are not talking about with Medicaid and Medicare enough is the premium tax credits that are going to be done away with the Affordable Care Act. I'm someone that's affected by that personally. Before I was elected Normal Township Supervisor, my Affordable Care Act plan was costing me about $200 a month. Once my income increased, I lost one of those tax credits already just for the increase. And now just to insure 3 children a month, I'm paying almost $800 a month. Through the Affordable Care Act, by the way, okay, this is supposed to be affordable, right? And that comes with a 40% co-insurance and a $9,000 family deductible. So I have a disabled 10-year-old, and because of all the therapy services that he needs, my healthcare costs are already right now almost $1,700 a month. And with the tax credits expiring at the end of this year, I will no longer be eligible for the tax credits under the ACA at all, which means that healthcare plan that I'm paying almost $800 a month for right now is going to go up to $1,500 a month. And that's really going to, eat into my income. And so, even though I've been fortunate enough to have an income increase through hard work and dedication and everything I do to earn that, that's all going to be taken away in healthcare costs once I lose those tax credits and things like that. And just here in the 15th congressional district, 22,000 people have an Affordable Care Act plan, and the average dollar increase is going to be $1,584 per enrollee, which is an increase of 81%. So I don't know how many people on an Affordable Care Act plan right now can afford an 81% increase in their premium cost, but that is what's coming. And so I think it's really important that we find, these reports and the fact sheets and the education to be able to talk to our neighbors and our friends and families and church members and civic organizations and say, look, no one's talking about the Affordable Care Act, but your premium is going to increase by 81%. Can you afford that? And make sure that we're really talking with real facts and figures to people and letting them know how these things are going to affect them using data and things that are cited and backed up by scientific research that people can, have trust and faith in. Because we know right now our federal government is, asking us to believe the lies that they're telling us right to our face. And unfortunately, a lot of people are doing that because we do have such limited political education, especially in our rural communities. We're going to be seeing hospitals close in our rural communities. We're going to be seeing farmers suffering because it's not just the people that receive SNAP benefits that are going to have, that money cut. Farmers are going to lose funding as well that they get through the Department of Ag and the SNAP program, those link match dollars that we get at our farmers markets and things like that double that money that's going to help farmers sell their fresh produce to people that live locally. And those things, once they start happening, are really going to start affecting our rural communities, and I think their eyes are going to start coming open. But we have to make sure that we are continuing to talk about these things because these cuts are not coming until 2027, most of them. And so we know that when the midterm elections come, a lot of people are not going to be feeling the burden of all of these cuts and everything that's happening with Medicaid and Medicare and SNAP and our healthcare accessibility, and they're going to think, oh, the Democrats were fear-mongering. This is not that big of a deal, and they'll continue to vote in the same people thinking they're going to continue to not be affected. Or let's say we do swing things back and we get Democrats elected, and then those cap tax things go into effect. Well, they went into effect while Democrats were in charge. So now the Republicans have a chance to blame us for it happening if we forget that they were the ones that passed it. So it's really important to not become complacent and to continue to not only educate yourselves, but all of the people around you as well.
Excellent. Would either of you care to speak to that?
I think that was
I think
great.
that was
Yeah.
fantastic.
I can say I was self-employed for a while, and it's not very affordable, the Affordable Care Act, even as it was, so I hear you.
Yeah.
Very discouraging. To what extent or in what ways do you think it's still possible to engage meaningfully with our fellow citizens across the aisle in the interest of coalition building or just reaffirming democratic values?
I think it's the thing that we most need to do right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy for somebody to hate the idea of a person, and it's so hard for them to, you know, not connect face to face. And so, you know, what we really need to be doing, it's not easy, you know, to the question of how do we get this information to our neighbors who aren't ready to hear it. I'm like, I wish I had a really good answer for that, but I think we just need to be in more places, you know, speaking with people, being brave, you know, we have, you know, take what privilege you have, what, you know, that I have, like, I need to take that privilege out and be willing to speak for somebody who's more vulnerable, I think, right now, you know, and, you know, make visible, you know, our experiences, tell our stories, and connect with people, because that's, you know, that's what's gonna bridge these lies, frankly.
I think the other thing that we tend to forget is, and I think just from a communications point of view, if I can, is the hardest thing to ask someone to do is to say they made a mistake. The easier thing to do is to sort of share with people the idea that this isn't what they wanted, that this isn't fair. So, and I think you can see this already happening a little bit in the polling, which is, you know, for example, all of the smartest Democratic consultants that I knew in Washington, D.C., you know, all said after the election, do not under any circumstances talk about immigration because, you know, that's where Donald Trump is the strongest and it puts everybody else on weak ground when we talk about that issue. But the truth is if you look after 7 months of talking about what a mass deportation program looks like, masked, heavily armed, unidentified people careening through our streets in unmarked vehicles and kidnapping people, that is very unpopular. And it's even unpopular among the people that voted for the policy. And so again, no, don't ask people to say they made a mistake, but say, can't we do better than this? And I think that's the place that we have an opening on lots of things. You know, you thought a smart businessman was a good idea, you know, but look at the tariffs that we're paying. You know, I mean, I think there's lots of places like that for us to find some space. And then I you know, looking here at the sign, it is about persistence. It's not going to be a single conversation. And so I think those are the things that we're just going to have to do over and over and over again.
I'll just add, you know, I started my career in politics out as a community organizer, and so one of the things that was always really deeply instilled in me is that we have to be able to meet people where they're at. We know that people are not going to share the same values or ideas or opinions as we are, but we have to make sure that we are understanding where they're at in their political education, in their life, in their stance, so that we can understand how to best effectively communicate with them. And one of the things that I had to learn early on with communication is that especially in really tense situations where we know we don't always agree with the other person, we tend to be really defensive. And so when we're speaking and listening, we are listening to respond or react instead of listening to understand. And so when people are, saying things to me that are very tension-filled or angry, instead of reacting to that or trying to defend what my stance is, I'll ask them, tell me more about why you feel that way. Give me an example of this, so that it gets them talking more. It also, makes them feel heard and understood and listened to, and it gets them to open up a little bit more and drop those defenses and drop those walls and be more opening to listen back to you. And that's where you start to develop trust and build bridges and relationships with people, where you can slowly start to have those harder conversations and push the boundaries of where their political education is a little bit more. And that takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of emotional labor and investment from organizers, which is why it's really important to build coalitions and make sure that you're sharing and dispersing that work between multiple people within your community and within your organization, so that it doesn't fall all on one person or one group, which leads to burnout, because organizing is very hard, it's very intense, it's something that has to continue to happen over and over and over again, especially when we're talking about one-on-one conversations. You can't just meet with somebody once and talk to them and think they're gonna, change their mind at the next election. It's something you have to keep coming back to over and over and over again. Just with electoral organizing, we know that you need to talk to a voter at least 3 times before they're going to be committed to voting for you. It's the same thing with organizing. You have to be able to talk to your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends and family members, your church members multiple times and not give up. And I think, that's one of the things that's really hard for people to overcome right now, is that wanting to give up, because there's so many terrible things happening every day and it feels like we can't do anything about it because it just keeps coming and snowballing. But we have to make sure that we are organizing together, that we're building relationships in our communities, across communities, within different movements, the Persisterhood movement, the ACLU, the labor movement, Democratic leaders, the more progressive leaders in the Democratic movement, across the whole anti-fascist movement, because that is really what we're seeing happening right now. It's really no longer about Democrat versus Republican or Independent or Green Party. Right now, we are literally fighting for democracy, and you're either pro-democracy or you're pro-fascist. And so that's, what we really have to get to the point of right now.
Thank you. What or where are the resources to find accurate data and statistics, as mentioned earlier? So when we are having these conversations, where can we find the scientific information and all the statistics?
The information I have comes from AllianceForRetiredAmericans.org and ProtectOurCareIL.org. But I also really use our Illinois Department of Health and Human Services websites and other governmental websites to find data and statistics related to Illinois. I feel like, at least in our state, we can trust that data and those statistics to get more information. But those are the places I particularly go to.
I would say too, in addition to that, depending on like the issue that you're working on or the thing that you're doing, for example, when something comes up about people who are unhoused, I go to the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless and, can find data there that I feel like I can trust and I can use. Or, if we're working on an issue about carceral experiences and the number of people who are incarcerated, there are places you can go and get data about that and how long people spend and about, how much is spent, for example, on their health care and things about that nature. So it takes a little work to figure out who those are that you trust. It's the one thing, as you heard, I've been doing this for more than a quarter century, which is a really polite way of saying I'm old. And one of the things that happens is you build up that kind of repertoire of groups that you can go to, and you can find that data and be able to use it. And I think in this day and age that facts really are incredibly important to have. Not that you're ever going to, again, back to our previous conversation, win somebody over just with facts and data, but it's really nice to be able to have something like that to present.
And I would say support your public and independent media, find those people who are doing that research. I mean, of course, you can do it yourself and, connect with the organizations that are doing the work and ask them. They're in the trenches of working on it, your local officials who are doing the work. But also, find those media people that are, doing that good research, making those connections, and, try to support them.
I'm afraid for our court system. Can you give me any words of assurance that our courts can keep up with the onslaught of cases?
So let me try. And let me do it in this way. The ACLU has filed more than 130 legal actions in the months since Donald Trump was inaugurated. We have already seen some success in the courts in more than half of those. A temporary restraining order, an injunction of some sort, etc. I think one of the untold stories of this administration is they lose a lot. At the district court level, where where the judges are actually looking at pleadings with facts and with data and hearing from experts and et cetera, the administration is losing almost on a regular basis in those cases, and really high, probably more than an average that one might even expect. It is true, and I think what is skewing this in large ways is what we're seeing the Supreme Court do, which I love the groan because, where they're using a shadow the so-called shadow docket, where they don't explain their rulings and they're letting things proceed. In one instance, just last week, the majority of the court actually let some firings happen within the federal government while acknowledging, a majority of the court acknowledged, that the plaintiffs would likely prevail in the long run in the litigation. So saying that they acknowledge it's wrong, but yet allowing it to go forward, I think is skewing a little bit of what we're seeing in terms of the way that the courts are working. And I think that, at some point, one of the things about allowing these cases, yes, would I love for the Supreme Court to take up birthright citizenship on its merits and knock it down, knock the president's executive order trying to change birthright citizenship down today? Yes, but by allowing it to work through the system in the way it normally does, it creates a factual record which will make it easier ultimately for the Supreme Court to rule against the order. And I think that that's the thing that is perhaps the one place that I would, for whomever asked that question, try to leave you with a little bit of hope tonight, which is the district courts are working. The appellate courts are working most of the time. The Supreme Court is still in the balance, but I think we have to keep making that record each and every day in the courts to be assured that we reach for a time when we're actually able to see those successes at the higher court level. So I would hang in there for the moment. I think ultimately, we've seen this Supreme Court oftentimes disappoint us, to put it mildly, and I think we're going to have to think about the ways we deal with that over the long term as well.
Would either of you care to speak to that? Okay. All right. This one's a long one. I continue to call, write, and visit Mary Miller's local office, as well as write and call Durbin and Duckworth. To date, I've received 0 response from Miller's office. What, if any, strategies do you suggest to change that equation, or should I just give up? During one visit to Miller's office, I learned that she and others are required to log all comments, questions, etc. from recipients. When I asked if I could secure a copy, I was told the information was not subject to a FOIA request. Is that true? Is there a workaround?
I think, let me start with the FOIA question. It is my understanding that correspondence with a congressional office is one of the excluded exemptions, rather, under the federal FOIA Act. And if you think about it for a moment, we probably all want that to be that way. If I'm writing a story to tell about, a disabled family member or some other personal information, I don't want just anybody to be able to FOIA that and get that information and do that. And having each and every congressional office, have to redact information, personal identifiable information, some of which in a rural area maybe not as, redactable or eliminate, couldn't be fully eliminated. I think that's something that you want to see. I do think that I do think I would encourage you not to. I would say three things. Number one, I would encourage you not to give up. I think. This is a long marathon. It is not a sprint. And I think we have to think about it that way. The second thing I would say is when you say that you're having these conversations, I want to pick up on something that Jane and Crystal said earlier. When you're having those conversations and not hitting, and hitting the wall with a member of Congress, remember that you've got state reps, you've got state senators, you've got city council people, you've got others who are in communication with those folks all the time. So make sure that you're making contact there about federal issues, about local issues, about others, because again, it creates an environment and an echo chamber, if you will, in which that information, can hopefully get through. The last thing I just want to say, because I really feel maybe it's about getting older and needing more affirmation than I did when I was younger. But the one thing I do want to say, when you say that you contact Durbin and Duckworth, I want to encourage you all, don't just contact those two senators when you're angry at them. Both of those senators, I just am curious, both of those senators voted against the Reconciliation Act that you heard this parade of horribles about. How many of you called their offices to thank them for voting against it? There's some good people in here. All of your hands should be up. And by the way, it's still not too late. And I really think that that's important to get ourselves into that muscle memory of thanking people when they do the right thing and not just expecting they'll do it because they're aligned with us in a party way. And so I think those are the things that I would think about in that area.
Yeah, sure. I think too, this person is probably writing some really brilliant letters and calls to Mary Miller, who's not listening and probably doesn't deserve them. Hopefully they get out there on, the local newspaper, or, they're sharing them with friends so that, because I'm sure they're not the only person who is, throwing wisdom into that black hole. And also, I think there's a couple petitions back there for folks who are going to run against Mary Miller. So, if you haven't already and you're in the district, support them, knock on some doors. Let's take it back if we can.
Jim actually just gave an excellent segue to something we were going to do at the very end of the evening anyway. So, it's got a couple of pieces to it. One is, it's come to our attention that there's somebody who lives in the district who actually thinks the best way to unseat Congresswoman Miller is going to be to run as a moderate Republican. There's a friend of hers who's here tonight that has some petition pages. If you are eligible to sign a Republican petition and you are interested in doing so, she's in the back corner over there. We've also got in the room a couple of people who are either currently elected or running for office on a county level or one of the Democratic 15th district candidates. If any of these things happens to describe you, take a second to stand up, please. If you're interested in talking to either of them, now you know where they are, and they will. You can then there years later.
And I'm sure that I'm speaking for everyone in the room when I say thank you so much for being willing to throw your hat in like that. All right, we are winding down. In our last few minutes, I'd like to ask each of our panelists what we can do to stop the continued erosion of our freedoms and the loss of vital social service programs.
Kind of have sort of final thoughts. I'll start off. I just keep saying to take it back local. I'm so glad that you guys have some candidates in the room today that you can support. The question about should I give up calling Mary Miller's office? No, but maybe if you want to take a day off from calling Mary Miller's office, sure, let's get you set up to make calls for one of our candidates instead. There's always something that we can do to be helping. It's okay to take breaks from things, but the people that are fighting on the front lines are exhausted. These fights, especially when you're not in the majority, are very, very difficult, and so anywhere that we can give support to the people that are out here fighting for us, whether they are Democrats or whether they are someone that may run as a moderate Republican, if we can make any progress at all, we need to be focused on doing that and continuing to try to move the needle back towards the direction we need to be going. So definitely, I would encourage you all to continue putting the pressure on your elected officials, Republicans and Democrats alike. I'm a Democrat, and I don't always agree with every single vote our Democratic lawmakers take as well, but we need them to be out there fighting for us, and so they need to hear our voices too, when we want to thank them for being amazing champions and fighting, but also when we need them to take a little bit of a second look at something, so you have to be willing to fight for your democracy no matter who your elected officials are, and continue that fight and that engagement on every level possible.
Absolutely agree. It's just find your thing. If you find you're doing the thing that's really exhausting you, find something else. Hopefully there's something that brings you energy and brings you joy. If you're, scrolling the horrible news, go and find that candidate you're excited about to make the calls, or that, community that you can drop some flyers with. And I would really encourage us to have big tents right now. If you might be, not ready to have a conversation with somebody who's a Republican, but that moderate Republican is, against the fascist side. They're our ally here, and a lot of times we, even in the Democratic Party or in the progressive side, I see it, there can be a lot of nitpicking each other, and that is definitely not what we need right now. Let's, look for the Venn diagram where we agree and build on that. That's what I think we need right now, and I appreciate everyone for being here, and this is the sort of thing we need. So, thanks for your time.
So first of all, let me say again, thank you all for showing up tonight and spending this hour in this way. I'm really grateful, and it's always, I think it's the thing that energizes me the most is actually being in a room with people who are like-minded these days. So I want to say a couple things. First of all, I really recognize the privilege that I have because I've been doing this work in one way or another for 40 years, and I've been really fortunate to be able to do that, and I'm really lucky that I get to come to spaces like this, and you all sit there and listen to me for an hour, which I still find remarkable after all this time. But it is really taxing every day. And so I'm really think about two things. Number one, a month after Donald Trump was inaugurated, I got my first grandchild. And she is perfect. And I'll tell you, that keeps me going every day. And what keeps and then holding her, and when I get to, is the thing that motivates me and keeps me going. But when I think about this, I always think about, some of you may know last year the Peoria City Council, in the wake of a really awful Supreme Court decision, passed a really awful ordinance with regards to homelessness and allowed the clearing of homeless encampments and that. And after the new year, I was on a Zoom call with a number of folks from Peoria who were trying to figure out what to do. And they had a number of different ideas, from practical to not practical. And, over the course of an hour, they talked about it. But there was one young woman on the call who was pretty well quiet for the whole time. And at the end of it, she finally spoke up and she said, I've listened and I've thought about all this. And she said, here's the thing. I'm not a lawyer and I can't sue. I'm not going to run for office, and I don't have a lot of money to donate to a campaign. But I'm most worried about the fact that if they come and clear an encampment, that somebody's going to lose all of their life's belongings. And I've got a box, and I've got somewhere I can store it for a little while until it gets better. I could have cried. In fact, I did when the call was over, if I'm being honest. We've all got a box, and we've all got a place we can store it until something gets better. And we just have to keep finding that box every single day and putting in it everything that we can to keep going through this. This is a battle between modernity and going back to some dark dystopian vision of America. It is nothing less than that. And that is something that deserves all of our attention, all of our energy, and doggone it, all of our fight. So let's go do it. Thank you all very much.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Dugan, one of the co-leads for Champaign County Indivisible. I just wanted to clarify one thing, that if you are going to sign the petitions, please sign them, but you can only sign Democratic petitions or Republican petitions. You cannot sign both, okay? I just wanted to clarify that so that everybody doesn't rush to sign the ones back there and rush to sign that one. You can only sign Democratic or Republican, okay? Yes? There is no registration for a party. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think you need to have a postal address that's in the Illinois 15th.
Yes, if you are signing them for the 15th, yes. There are some back there that are countywide, and 13 and 15 are both because a kindergartner drew the maps. Who knows? I don't know. Do you want to wrap it up?
I just really want to thank our panelists so much for your time tonight. I found your words very, very encouraging. The energy in the room is great. We're going to keep up the fight. I want to also thank Yellow and Company, Yellow and Co. Events so much for letting us use this space tonight. Thank you, Champaign County Indivisible, for being such a great partner. And again, please check out the link trees that are around here, and for the Champaign County Indivisible and the Muhammad Per Sisterhood, to see how you can get involved in both of our organizations. Thank you so much. Oh, Mike, oh, there we go. Okay, come on up here. Do you want to use the microphone?
You also want to get a picture.
Okay, so I guess this is my box that I'm going to carry, because this is the kind of thing that gives me a little bit of hope when I'm in community, as you mentioned, Ms. Bianca, about being with people who are not happy with what's going on and feeling the need to raise their spirits. I wrote a little song, and I asked a couple of people in the audience who have agreed, I hope, to stand and help me sing that song. If Mary Miller is out there in the streaming audience, or anyone who knows her, perhaps they could share this with her. Everybody ready? Mary Miller, give us your answer due. We're half crazy, waiting for the likes of you. Your cruelty could not be clearer. Your judgment is drawing nearer. Oh, it will be sweet when you're out on the street with no one to listen to you.